All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds, all the time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to on this Friday night AATBirds game plan. We're going to break down the Eagles-Bills matchup on Sunday. It's going to be an interesting one. Got a lot to go over, some injuries, some updates. Of course, we're going to talk about the Bills and containing Allen and Cook and what you have with the Buffalo Bills offense. The Pro Bowlers were announced. I do want to touch on that. Some snubs, including the gentleman that is pictured on the screen here. And, of course, the keys to the game for the Sunday matchup. Oh, yeah. But, Matt, I know you're dealing with a little sickness over there, so you got a lot going on. You're tired, all that good stuff. But how are we doing tonight?
We are doing well. Merry Christmas, man. Happy Christmas, holidays to all, to everyone, for Hanukkah, for Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays. Festivus for the rest of us, for sure. Yeah, no, we're doing well. I feel like it's been like a month of just being sick. But yeah, we're getting through, man. We're getting through. I'm very much looking forward to the Eagles game on Sunday to kind of break the monotony of being stuck in the house, for the last week. Yeah, I never understood that line in the Christmas song. Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. But now, as a father of three, I totally get it. Get these kids out.
Absolutely.
Holy smokes!
No, I agree with you there. And the other thing too is, like, when you take a look at this game, and it's interesting because the Chicago Bears play on Sunday night. So this game now, if Chicago would win, of course, they're essentially locked into that 2 seed. And the Eagles would be the 3 seed, which, of course, depending on what happens with that Sunday night game, the Eagles still do have something to play for in terms of there is the potential still to get that 2 seed. So there is some, hopes of maybe moving up a seed. But again, we'll see with that. I think the big thing is, like, you take a look at this game, and, like, I know you look at Bills, Eagles, 2 top teams in the NFL, but to me, it just feels like, yeah, do I want to see the Eagles win? Of course, I'm never going to not want it to win. But, like, the pressure standpoint of the game really, like, I don't think it's really there. Like, these last 2 weeks, it's just like, okay, let's get to the playoffs. Let's get the playoffs going because in all actuality, I think next week it's going to be the preseason essentially of having all the backups play. It's funny, they extend the season to have all these games, but essentially a very small select few of the games actually matter. The rest of it is just a bunch of glorified preseason games. And it's like, not saying that this game is, because the New England Patriots play before it. And if they win, which they're playing the Jets, most likely they're going to be winning. It puts an even bigger stranglehold on the AFC East. The Bills won't have to sit people. They'll still have an opportunity to win the division. Yeah. But to me, it's just like the Eagles and Bills are kind of like the same, close to the same type of scenario of, let's take a look at where we're at.
And either way, we're going to figure it out, right? We'll play it by ear kind of vibe. Yeah, no, I get that. It's kind of the end of this season is kind of weird. Like you said, we have a bunch of, aside from this game, a bunch of opponents that don't necessarily strike fear in teams. I mean, the Bills are obviously a very good team, and they have been for the last half decade or so. But yeah, it's kind of a weird one, but definitely important for us. Honestly, if we don't get the 1 seed, I don't think it matters where we slot in, right? Like at worst, we're the 4. Like you'd prefer to be that 2 seed so that you host a home game, but I don't know how for real the Bears are. I mean, they smoked us, so we're not ones to talk. But, like, I don't know. I still think as a 3 or a 4, there's a good shot that you're hosting 1, maybe 2 home games.
Yeah.
You know what I
Again,
mean?
yeah, we'll see where, my biggest thing is get out as healthy as possible. You don't want to have injury, especially this late. And again, that brings up like the first bullet point we have there with the injury updates and everything.
Yeah.
Lane Johnson's not going to play. Nakobe Dean's not going to play. And again, Nakobe Dean
Smart.
tweaking his hamstring. You don't want to throw him out there and he hurts something more. Or he hurts again. Like, let him rest. Like, you need him. The other thing with Lane Johnson, it kind of goes the same thing. Like, if you want him healthy, rest him into the playoffs and then, have him out there. Essentially, like, throw him in the game and he winds up either hurting it more and whatever it may be in a game that's, essentially, you're trying to move up a tick in the standings, but it doesn't matter to have him play. Fred Johnson can play out there. Just let him, do that right now. So, but Jalen Carter is going to play, which to me is, maybe a little surprising. Like, you kind of would just let him rest as much as possible and get him out in the field when he's closer to 100%. He says his shoulders feel good, but to me, the interior defensive line has been playing pretty well with who you have there.
I agree, but like at the same time, if the doctors say you're good, like, get him out there. He needs to get in game shape. We all know it's going to take him a couple games to get back to form like it did in the beginning of the season. Maybe not as long as it did the first time, but get him those reps. Even if you have him on a pitch count, just get him the reps. Get the juices flowing. Get the pads thumping. Maybe not play him 80% of the snaps like you were in the beginning of the year, but get him some reps. Everyone is healthy, full participant, all intents and purposes, everybody's healthy. The only one that has a game designation outside of Dean and Lane is Cameron Williams, who they have until next Thursday to figure out what they're going to do with him. But back to Lane, I think what they're doing, in my opinion, is they're just trying to get him reps. They're just trying to get him reps at practice. They're trying to get him back in shape. Because with a foot, you're likely not doing much rehab, or cardio, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, I think it's all about, hey, we
have a foot injury. It's probably true.
Yeah, we don't think you're quite where we need you to be, so let's just take it easy. If we lock it up, we send you. If we win this week and lock up the 3 at worst, like, we sit you for the rest of the year, get you ready for the playoffs. Otherwise, if we need you next week, we can throw you in there. It's kind of like they're hedging their bets with Lane. I think it's smart to keep him out, though.
Yeah, no, I could see that as you seeing it trending and what's going on. I can understand that. So the other thing too is, like, looking at the other side of the ball, you have the Bills who are going to be without a few defenders. Jordan Phillips doesn't play all that much, defensive tackle. Daquan Jones plays about 61% of their snaps interior wise. So they're going to be, beat up a little bit interior as Ed Oliver has been out for most of the year. So they're going to have some rookies in there and everything. Jordan Poyer, who's been starting a lot since he's been back at safety for them, is going to be out. So they're going to be missing some pieces on defense. So it's going to be interesting with that. Of course, Josh Allen is off the injury report. Now, he did tweak his ankle, foot, whatever it was, on Sunday against the Browns. But he's off the injury report. He'll be back. I think too, like, when you look at the Eagles defense and the tough task that they have against the Bills is containing Josh Allen and James Cook. And again, we'll see how good Josh Allen is on that foot, because he will scramble. He will, elongate the plays. He'll make it, really hard for your defense to contain him and control him, because he gets out of the pocket, he can maneuver, and then he can just sling it down the field. So there's a lot that goes on. But when you take a look at that offense in the passing game goes through their tight ends, not too much to receivers. And of course, James Cook's able to run the ball, and they're able to run the ball really well, because I don't think you're going to be able to get too much on the receivers. And I want you to talk about, because I know you and I have been going back and forth. When you take a look at the Eagles and the secondary, the Marcus Epps effect seems to be, the continuity between everybody and the way that they're playing is absolutely, it's been fantastic to watch. And it just seems like it's elevating each and every week.
Well, and because I think, and Johnny Page did a nice little thing on this earlier that I sent you, but it's like, so when you look at the Marcus Epps effect, which I can't believe we're talking about, and we talked about it last week as an underrated signing, like or acquisition similar to Fred Taylor, but on the defensive side. There's a
Fred Johnson.
there's a nice little. Did I just do it again? That's like 5 times in 2 weeks. That's unreal. I'm so sorry to everyone. Almost 40. That's what happens. So there's a nice little chart that they put out on PFF that is about the 2025 safety separation prevented and targets per route chart. Minimum of 150 charts or coverage snaps. Marcus Epps is by himself in the top right here, saying that he has prevented he has the least amount of separation in coverage by any safety in the NFL, which is absolutely insane. And on top of that, Johnny Page put out a really nice post about what he's seen on film, right? And he's seen the ability, the pre-snap communication is at an all-time high for a Vic Fangio defense, and that's something that we touched on probably last year at this point, just about how I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, how much the secondary talks, right? I think Coop and Hugh are really good about like, hey, if he comes this way, I'm passing him off. If he comes this way, I've got him. You can, if you watch Coop every week, you'll see that. Blankenship does a good job making sure the linebackers are in their spots, making sure that the defense and Nakobe does a good job of making sure that the line is aligned properly depending on the strength of the defense. But what we don't necessarily get to see, because they're not always in the frame, but it's the Marcus Epps and the Blankenships talking to the corners and saying like, hey, I got you. I'm over the top on this one. If he bangs a post, I've got, like they're talking about their coverage responsibilities. And one of the things that Johnny points out is just like that the communication is even better than it was with Makuba, which is understandable because he's a rookie and that's something that you need to grow into in the league. But it's allowing Quinyon Mitchell to take the boundary, which we talked about over the last couple of weeks, a change that Vic has made, erasing that side of the field. And it allows you to play like cover 6, right? So you have quarters, half from a coverage perspective. And then you have, your 2 safeties kind of hawk in the middle there and clogging up the seams. So it's been awesome. And I think the reason that Epps has been so impressive is because he's just there, like he's where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Vic trusts him. And while Makuba has better ball skills, obviously, and probably better athleticism, he's not as stout as Epps is in the run. And Epps has that veteran savvy and looks a little bit more comfortable in the scheme. So
he's also a rookie too. So you have that.
Well, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like this, nothing against Makuba at all. Like he's playing, he had a rough start when he first got in there, but was playing really well before he got hurt, which sucks. But Epps has just been solid, which is really all we asked Sydney to be. And we talk about this every week, but like he's just, Vic values consistency and trust over anything. And that's why Adoree,
and I think too, like, and he's been, to me, he's better and better as you see it. And I think too, like when you take a look at like Epps, that was a hell of a pull by Howie. I know he liked to get, like, people like to get on him because of course, you couldn't re-sign everybody after the Super Bowl. You had to let Milton go and Sweat. Slay was gone. Yeah. You let CJ, GJ go. A number of guys that you had to let go. But you're also seeing some of these young guys take the next steps up. Guys like Jalix Hunt. And of course, you drafted Jahad Campbell, who, helped out at the beginning of the year when Nakobe was out. And of course, Adoree's starting to get into the role. You get a Marcus Epps after you drafted a Makuba who got hurt. And then Marcus Epps, you signed him to the practice squad after he was let go by the Patriots. didn't fit the Patriots defense, but he is now on your defensive ball club, and like he had solid year with
He was pretty good with
the
the
Raiders, and then he got hurt in 2024, and then he wasn't bad. Yeah, he was pretty good, and that's the thing with the Eagles too. He worked into his role. He was there in 2020 or 2019. He was there, played mostly special teams, and then after they claimed him off waivers, then in 2020 played a little bit, started a little bit because of all the injuries and everything. 2021 again, he started a little bit there, and then 22 is when he finally got his role to starting full time, and he worked that into a contract with the Raiders. And then having him back here is, it's pretty good too to be able to have that now that he's able to start the last couple of games for the Eagles after coming off of IR. And, he played a ton with the Raiders, 90% of the snaps. So it wasn't like he didn't play, but it's just, those type of additions. And I think people of course, the Jalen Phillips addition, Byron Young has stepped up after they claimed him off waivers last year, and he essentially redshirted the whole year. He's starting to be a solid depth piece for you after having, you're never going to make great decisions all the time, but Howie is consistent, and he does still have a couple of good moves every year, which still helps the roster. You look at the roster and you look at the defense and what they've done, what they did last year, and what they are building. And, there's a conversation to be had that this defense is getting to the level, if not starting to elevate over what the 24 defense did. And a big thing about it is the age of this defense, the youth, the amount of young players that you have on this team, and they're just getting better. And it's just, it's crazy to think about, but it isn't when you take a look at how many young players you had, rookies you had last year step up, and now they're second, third year guys. And you're looking at all these younger players and what they're doing. And they've helped steady this team because the offense had struggled. And I think that's another thing too, is that we don't talk too much about, or some people don't talk too much about, is the last 3 weeks. Yes, you've played Washington, and yes, you've played the Vegas Raiders. I get that. And even the Los Angeles, without, you had all those turnovers, and yet you had a chance to win the game because the offense has started to figure out what their identity is and what works well. Empty set. They have, a lot. They're playing jumbo. They're playing a lot of different under center, and they're doing so many different things that are working and figuring it out. Some RPO stuff. They're working everything into play that now it's the point as they're dictating what they want to run, and the defense has to think about what they're going to do. Then defense doing it, and us thinking, okay, well, what we have to do to beat this defense. You turn it the other way around, and you make the defense dictate what they want to run. If the defense is running one thing, and you go to empty, and they have, base personnel. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Eagles did do that. Like if they were empty set and the team was running base, they ran a little bit of a hurry up to keep some of that base on the field, and doing some of that will help you again as well. So I like that aspect, and I want to see more of that in this game too, against a Bills defense who isn't near the top of the league. They're middle or the bottom part of the pack. Like their defense has given up a lot and a lot of plays because their
especially
offense
in the run
has just
game.
been so and especially if they're going to have some big time defensive tackles, some beef in the middle there out, and they got to rely on 2 rookies and a couple essentially journeyman guys, and Fedarian Matthews, and then Larry Ogunjobi, who's been hasn't played in I think a couple weeks, 2 weeks he hasn't played. He's going to play this week. But when you have that, it may bode beneficial to get the run game going, because I do know the winds and everything up in Buffalo. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. If you're able to get that ground
attack, it's like 40 degrees, which is
okay. So it won't be too bad.
Summer day in Buffalo.
They'll be wearing no shirts.
Yeah, right. No, I agree. And one thing that this offense has done is they seem to, and again, take this with a grain of salt because it's the Commanders and the Raiders, but they seem to have figured out the run game to an extent, right? They've broken off 2 home runs with 2 to Saquon, and then you could argue that you could consider the tank touchdown, a home run, right? That was a 20-yard run or so.
Yeah.
So I mean, they seem to have figured out what works in the run game, and I don't know if that's a matter of getting healthier or just putting defenses in a bad position. I don't really care as long as they get that going, because that's if you can play good defense and you can run the ball in the playoffs, like you have a chance. It's always been that way. It'll always be that way, especially with these cold weather teams. Um, but I want to touch on something that you were
Yeah.
saying with the young guys on the defense, especially, but this goes for offense as well. Howie said after the year, to your point, like, hey, it's going to look weird. We're going to make some tough decisions, but the young guys have to play. And I think he said that last year too in 24. And that's what like. We're talking about the young
Yeah.
guys like the Jihad Campbells, the Quinyon Mitchells, the Cooper DeJeans, but like we're also talking about those little like ticking time bombs that they had in their back pocket, like a Jordan Davis, right? That came out of his shell this year and just completely blew it up. With Moro Ojomo, who has been in the
Mhm.
system for a couple years. Like it's amazing all
Yeah.
these players that you know a, a lot of fans were saying, hey, maybe they just weren't like maybe Jordan Davis wasn't worth the 13th pick because he can't rush the passer. And now we're seeing the vision. And we've heard a couple times from coaches, from analysts, from players, like it takes like 3, 4, 5 years to get your groove. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham almost got run out of Philadelphia, and he's going to be an Eagles Hall of Famer. Maybe not the NFL Hall of Fame, but he's certainly going to be in the Eagles Hall of Fame. And we're starting to see that now with Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so cool to watch, and we talk about this all the time. Like
Oh, definitely the
one of
Eagles
the
Hall of Fame, no doubt.
one of our favorite things to do is like build a team and see how they grow. And I think one of the best things people always ask, oh, what does Sirianni do here? He develops players.
Yeah.
Like he's not calling plays, but he's involved in the game planning, but he's developing players and building a culture. And we're seeing development that we haven't necessarily seen from coaching staffs in the past. And I think that's something that is super underrated about Nick Sirianni.
No.
There's a bit of a lag.
So
I don't know if you can hear me.
I agree with you on that. That's definitely something that a lot of people don't think about, and a lot of people don't really want to say because they like all they do is they give their opinion that he doesn't do anything because he doesn't call plays. So that means he doesn't do anything.
Right.
By the way, it looks like it's rain and 39 degrees game time because the game's gonna be at 4:25. Looks like there's the whole
Beautiful.
game may be a little rainy, which is the same thing that happened last time the two teams played. Just rained all game.
The walk-off OT, right?
Yeah. So just saying, it's probably going to be a slop fest type of game. So
Which is not usually Jalen Hurts' best from a statistical perspective.
No, but I think you're going to see a lot of sloppiness, and that's why maybe the run game will be the factoring of that. But I just wanted to bring that up. Again, things could change. That's for Sunday, and it's only Friday night here. But no, I think too is like you look at what they do, and like you bring a guy like Jalen Carter, he's in his third year, a guy like Jalex Hunt, like they have so much youth, and then you take a look at basically what they have coming this offseason in terms of, there are some free agents and everything, I get that, but I'm talking about the chips in their pocket in terms of all the draft picks that they have. The Jets stinking and just keep hoping they lose and the teams in front of them win. So the Jets pick moves up. You get an even higher third round draft pick, which essentially is a late second. You have your first round pick, your second. You have the Jets third, your third, a couple fourths. Like the thing about it is you have so many more picks then to be able to build. And the way that they've built the last 5 years since like you look at that 2021 draft onward, they've built the foundation of this team through all those drafts, and what they needed to do after the disastrous drafts of 2020 and 2019, they're able to, build themselves actually, it was a couple of drafts that weren't very good, but they're building themselves the
We won't talk about
foundation
that.
and keeping that foundation built. Because if you take a look at a team in a franchise, like I know they're struggling this year, but a team like the Baltimore Ravens, their
Yeah.
success was generated on the amount of draft picks that they kept hitting on and developing and being able to turn the roster around because they
Yeah.
kept this infusion of youth and talent coming through the pipeline there. And that's what the Eagles are doing right now. And it's something that, of course, we love to see. You and I go back and forth. We like our mock drafts. We like all that kind of stuff, doing all that, seeing what free agents are available and what guys you can get, and all this stuff, the trades that could happen and everything down the line, which, of course, we'll get into in the offseason. A lot to get into in the offseason, which will be fun. But, yeah, it's a fun thing to see. And, of course, you're going to see it. And then, that's why I like Week 18, because essentially – if there's really nothing to play for, you have these young guys being able to put out tape, like a guy like Tanner McKee being able to put out tape for him because potentially he could be a chip that is moved for something better for you, whether it's a draft pick, whether it's a veteran player, whatever it may be to help your roster. So all that comes into play, and how he said and what he mentioned, it brings it all to light, and it's what they're doing, and it's what they have to do if you want to stay successful in this league. When you're paying high dollar amounts to certain players and positions, you need to be able to supplement that with cheaper talent that is affordable and that you can get to a high level. And that's why getting some of these free agent these low bargain free agent signings to be able to jump up and, give you that production.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the teams that win the Super Bowl are generally the healthiest or the ones with the best depth.
Yeah.
Right. And one
No
of the
doubt about
reasons the Lions are arguably one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, but they just can't stay healthy.
Always hurt. Yeah.
Because Dan Campbell
Always
runs
hurt.
them into the ground, man. But they play a physical style of football, and I appreciate it, but they paid the price. The Niners are a good example of that. I mean, they have, I think, the highest number of players on IR, and they're still competing for the division.
Yeah,
because
and then once in the number one seed, they went out. They have the number one seed.
Yeah, I mean the depth is there, man.
Yeah,
it's actually really impressive. I think they've had a low key impressive season.
Yeah,
it's like a hell of a coaching job. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's up for Coach of the Year. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing that depth firsthand. I mean, look at what we talked about last week with Jalen Carter being out and the stats that interior offense or defensive line has put up. 39 tackles, 8 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss, I think, off the top of my head. In 3 games. I mean, they were averaging 13, 3, 3, and 3 in those 3 games. So, listen, super impressive to your point how he did to build the depth on this team that we didn't necessarily think at the time was good depth.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, look, I'll go to the next bullet point there. The Pro Bowlers, announcing the Eagles, their Pro Bowlers are all draft picks except for one free agent signing that was an underrated free agent signing that turned into probably one of the best free agent signings in Eagles history. And the 5 Pro Bowlers, as of right now, of course, with injuries and stuff, more people could be announced. And of course, the Eagles go to the Super Bowl again. There won't be any Pro Bowlers. They won't be there because they won't be. They'll be in San Francisco or Santa Clara, wherever that's being held. But the Pro Bowlers are Jalen Carter, Cam Jurgens, Zach Bond, Quinyon, and Coop. And, well-deserved, most of them. We have our opinions on
I don't get the Cam and Justin and Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Yeah.
I don't get it. Their names.
The Jurgens ones was a little surprising just because we saw it. He struggled with injuries and just struggled in general this year. But, a guy that's on the screen deserved to be a Pro Bowler.
I don't know
what the type of season
I don't know that I could,
together.
but I don't know that I could point to Cam Jurgens and say oh wow, he made an amazing block on this play. I remember a couple years ago, last year, where he's getting downfield and he's taking out 3 dudes, like prime Jason Kelsey. I haven't seen anything like that at all.
Drew Dahlman was the other Pro Bowler, which well-deserved. He had he's had a hell of a season in Chicago. I'm just trying to think of who else. you could have. I guess you could have
But
picked someone
to your
because
point,
there's.
Jordan Davis should be on there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. He
Definitely over
deserves to be
Jalen
on
Carter.
there. Yeah. So,
I think Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert got
it's an interesting aspect because I'd agree with you. 10 touchdown catches.
10 touchdowns,
tight
man.
end. It's
10 touchdowns.
He's career high
taking,
and everything.
He's taking end arounds. Like, come on, man. He doesn't have the yards, but he has the rest of the production.
Whatever. It was just
and it sucks.
It was just interesting. Definitely interesting. But yeah, I know. Well, that's why they're just doing games now. They're not even doing a real Pro Bowl anymore. So
it should be anyway.
Which brings us to our favorite segment, and we always bring it to you, the Uleka Locks.
It's time for the Uleka Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
Alrighty, so our locks last week did not hit. I had Jalen Phillips with a 1.5 sacks, and you had Eagles with no less than 4 sacks. They had 2 sacks.
Yeah.
So, I'll start the Uleka Locks. I'm not going with the Eagles game. I'm going to go with a different game, but a game that's going to have a record broken. And that is Myles Garrett is going to get the sack record.
Ooh, okay. I mean, it's almost impossible for him not to at this point.
It's very true, but I'm gonna put it down there.
He also has. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him because he's been absolutely incredible and unstoppable. But to put it in perspective, he's doing this in 17 games. And look at what Reggie White did. 21 and was it 21 or 21 and a half?
I think it was 21 in 12 games.
Yeah, 12 games. 5 less games.
1987, I think.
5 less games.
Yeah.
In at a time where like passing offense wasn't really all that big.
No.
Everything ran through the running back. Running backs were the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And Reggie White, I mean, think about that. He's averaging almost 2 sacks a game in an era where like a 2,000-yard passer was incredible. So just unreal. Like, again, I'm not taking anything away from Myles because the game is different. But I just wanted to put it in perspective because the minister of defense was unreal.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like that. I'm gonna stick with the Eagles though. And I'm gonna go with Saquon.
Okay.
This week. I have 2 here, and they're both related to the run game. I think Saquon goes over 100 yards, and I think we hold Cook to under 100 yards.
Okay. But now that brings us to prediction time. I'll let you go first with that.
Yeah.
How do you think this game plays out?
I think it's going to be gross. We have difficulties with mobile quarterbacks, with quarterbacks that play off schedule. They are playing for something. I know we are too, but they are at home. They are outside. They are playing in the snow or the rain. It is another away game for us. I have the Eagles winning a sloppy game. 24-20.
Okay. So I haven't picked against the Eagles all year. Again, you said slop fest and everything.
Oh boy.
I'm going to go, unfortunately, Buffalo 17-14.
Wow.
Jake Elliott's going to miss 2 field goals, and we're going to point to that being Missy Elliott. But I think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be a close game. A lot of defensive plays because of the sloppy weather. If it's going to be raining all game, 38, 39 degrees, going to be chilly, a little bit of wind. I think it's one of those games where it could go either way. I haven't picked against the Eagles all year, so So hopefully I'm wrong, and that's where we are there.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Wow. Caught me off
But-
guard there.
Listen, I wanted to pick the Eagles, but I just went the opposite way. Close game, but unfortunately,
I'm optimistic about this team right now. I don't know what it is. I keep saying this to you.
listen, I could be
There's-
totally wrong,
there's
which is
something-
hey,
There's something in my gut that's telling me this team has something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the hopeless romantic in me. I don't know. Like there's something
Listen,
about them that
if-
all of a sudden.
it's going to be interesting because
Yeah.
with the rain and with the weather, if with the offense, how the offense looks, but if the offense, keeps going the way it's going,
Yeah.
and the run game looks better and everything, it's going to be very, very make me very, very more optimistic than I already am the last couple of weeks.
Remember, we have
But-
an extra day of rest here too, which is I know it doesn't
That
sound
is true. That's right.
doesn't
We
sound-
did play.
crazy, but we do have an extra day of rest. And
Yeah.
we're playing in the interracials this week.
Yeah.
White jerseys, black pants, green helmets. We tend to ball out in those. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's
We'll
something about
see.
this team. Maybe we'll revisit this in the offseason. Maybe I'll look like a big dipshit, but there's something in my heart of hearts that's telling me
Remember,
there's
it
something.
is Kelly Green week next week. Last game of the year. So
Yeah, well, that's a waste. The other thing I
Tanner
wanted
McKee
to
and
bring
Kelly Green.
gross. Awesome. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick that I forgot to one of the things I'm keeping an eye on outside of the weather, there's two things. Special teams.
Yeah.
Special teams was dog shit last week. We had a fumble, 2 missed field goals, 3
Mhm.
missed field goals really.
With the
one of
extra
them-
kick because of the
Right. One of them didn't count. And the other thing I'm keeping an eye on is how Jahad Campbell plays against the run. Right? He's been really good against the pass. The run has not been his strong suit this year.
I'm wondering. Now, I don't think they're going to do it just because he plays so much special teams. But on running downs, swapping, Jahad with some Jeremiah Trotter. Not that they're going to do it because he plays so much on special teams. He's a big special teams guy, but just an interesting aspect.
That I wouldn't be opposed to it because he got a lot of run in the beginning of the year.
Because again, we're going to see him probably a lot next week. So
Jahad, I'm not worried about Jahad. Jahad's good at making the tackle. The problem is that in the run game this year, most of his tackles are 3, 4, 5 yards upfield.
Yeah.
He does a lot of catching the running back instead of attacking like Nakobe does. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with their sim pressures and who's going. Because typically it's Dean. Occasionally they bring Bond.
Yeah.
But Jahad's no slouch at blitzing. He's an edge rusher. He's got the chops. It'll be interesting to see how they use him as opposed to Dean in a full game. I just wanted to call those things out. Those are two things that will be in the back of my mind this week.
No, I agree with you. But hopefully we get a good game. Hopefully we get a W.
I'll take it.
Again, till then, as we always end it, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button, everything. Stay safe out there. And
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to all. And as we
wash your hands. Wash your hands so you don't get the Rona.
Exactly. Don't get sick. But with that, as we always end it, with a very happy and joyful.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.